that energy back, because it's disheartening when you go into the stadium, even as a fan, and you're looking around and you're seeing Cowboy flags. You're seeing Jimmy Johnson being inducted on the Hall of Fame, which honestly, Tepper needed to throw a drink at Jerry Jones for that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was just ostentatious.
Yeah.
But when you're having all that happen on your field, it's WTH.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's why? And like, I'm kind of funny because like if I can't go to a game, and that's rare, you know that, or if Dad can't go, I will not sell those tickets to a outside fan,
Right.
the opposing team. I just won't. It will be a Panthers fan only. And
Good.
honestly, it's usually preseason, but because honestly, Charlotte too hot in August in those days.
Jenn Lewis joining us here, talking all things Panthers. Last year, there was a game, I believe it was against the Atlanta Falcons, where it was a monsoon. It was a mess. And the ticket prices were like, what, $5-6 for people to come in at Bank of America
I believe
Stadium?
that was Christmas Eve game too. Yeah. Yeah.
It was a monsoon, because I saw the highlights when someone sent me the highlights, and I looked.
Was it me?
I said, wow. And someone asked me, would you sit in that mess? If I'm sitting in the press box, yes.
Yep.
If I'm sitting outside, hell no, I'm not sitting in that mess.
Hank, some of the press people didn't even want to be at that game because everybody had thrown in the towel. And I still stand by this. I truly believe David Tepper hired Frank Reich last year because he thought he could walk all over him. Because if you look at every single one of Tepper's hires, they've all been sons of preacher men.
Yeah.
And I think he thought he could walk all over Frank Reich. I also think he hired him because Frank was our first quarterback.
Yeah.
And he thought it would soften the blow of not hiring Steve Wilkes. Why
do you think they didn't hire Steve Wilkes? Why do you think they didn't give the...
I will say this. In Tepper's favor, from the beginning in his coaching search, he said, I want an offensive-minded coach.
Yeah.
So I think, honestly, that was it. I think he needed to change his tune because Steve was getting people back in the stands, rooting for the Panthers. But and I don't know if Federer had a lot to do with it, but Steve Wilkes deserved it. Kyle Shanahan threw Steve Wilkes under the bus. Like, Steve Wilkes saved the 49ers and the playoff game against the Lions by changing up the defensive strategy during halftime, which is what a coach does. And we saw it when he was interim head coach here in Carolina. He did that more than once. But I'm personally not a fan of hiring people based on analytics.
Right.
Because you know what?
Nor am I.
Numbers change. And my husband's in analytics. But yeah, I really think it was because he truly thought, and he was right, the Panthers never had an offensive-minded head coach. It was always a defensive-minded. But hey, Brian, remind me again, what are dynasties built on?
Built on defense.
Right?
Built on defense. Hey, every dynasty I have watched was built on defense, including these guys. Even though they had Montana and Rice and everybody else, the defense helped them a lot. Chicago Bears, 1985. What was their calling card? Their defense.
Exactly.
It was their defense. Man, I got to know. We got to do this. Let's go over the Panthers schedule, because there are some games here that I don't. Let's do this. You go to New Orleans to start week 1, so you're immediately in your division.
Sure.
And New Orleans swept you last year, but
everybody
swept
us
quarterbacks. They don't have a quarterback, but they seem to get it done. What is the hex that New Orleans has on you guys?
They don't always sweep us, but I would say Atlanta in the past probably had. Off memory, Atlanta has more wins against us than we do, especially during the Cam years.
Yeah,
because I feel like Cam would kind of freeze a little bit when playing in his home city.
Yeah.
But the last couple of years, honestly, Brian, again, the first 5 years of our franchise better than the last 5, but we've swept them too. Yeah. Alvin Kamara also really hates us, but that's okay. He should be in jail.
I love it.
Ouch.
Shots fired. For real. Shots fired. I love it.
I will say this. The only team in the NFC South I do not have a bone of contention with would be the Bucks. Just because their fans are respectful.
Yeah.
Their ownership is respectful.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say the same about the Falcons or the Saints?
No, you can't. You can look at their moves off the field. Look at their moves off the field. That's all I got to say. Week 2, you get the Chargers for your home opener, which means Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert coming to town. What do you see there?
I see surprises. I see a win. Because if they do the right thing on the marketing side of the Panthers and the game day staff, like the pump up people, and they really get that keep pounding going. Yep. And a lot of people are starting to get excited.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are. They're loving Dave and Dan, that combo. And their friendship is legit too. Like they love each other. They're boys.
Good.
And they want them dogs. And we've been getting them dogs. And we just gave Derek Brown a $90 million contract.
Yeah.
And I remember when we drafted him, and I had some fellow Panthers fans telling me, this is a mistake. Why Derek Brown not? I forgot who else they wanted. And I was like, I don't, admittedly, I watch some college football, but I'm not like the avid fan just because I get lost in all the players, right?
Right.
But I was like, I just have a feeling this guy's going to be something special. And so now, like, every year, I'm like, I go to this one particular person. I'm like, I was right. You were wrong.
All right. I want to look at week 5.
Okay.
Because y'all play the Chicago Bears. I've been invited to that game.
Yeah?
I told them hell no. And I have 2 good reasons for that. Number 1, it's the Chicago Bears. And yes, Chicago's my hometown, but y'all know who my football team is.
49ers, who just signed my former favorite running back for the Panthers. There go my hopes of him coming home. Thanks, Brian.
Well, listen, the Rams, the Bills, and like 3 other teams wanted to snatch him. But John Lynch swept under all of them.
So honestly, I hate one of the reasons I hate Tool because he tanked Christian's trade eligibility and numbers. But keep in mind, Christian and Kyle go back to when Christian was a baby, and Kyle was literally babying him. So
and Christian McCaffrey's back home from playing at Stanford, up the way in Palo Alto.
And honestly, he's closer to his parents in Denver. I mean, yeah.
You know what's crazy? That night when the trade happened, I was on my way to bed. I said, you know what? I was keeping my eye on the trade deadline. I didn't see any big names pop up. And I was on my way to bed, and at the last second, an alert comes by, and the only line I see is 49ers make. Oh, hell, I better open this. Just about to get into bed, and my wife, love her dearly, she says, are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. I'm just looking up this, and I stopped. in mid-sentence.
Freaking hate Matt Tool.
And I said, I don't believe what I'm reading. Now, Jody doesn't really like get into the player movement like I do, but she watches football with me, and she's well versed enough to know what's going on the field. And if she has something with the player, she'll ask me. When I stopped in mid-sentence, she jumped up, looked over my shoulder, and she goes, "Y'all got Christian McCaffrey." We looked at my phone for about 5 minutes, and we're waiting for the clickbait to happen. I said, "This can't be right." I opened the link is right there.
That night too.
Look, the link is right there. And I looked at Jody, and she looked at me, and she says, "Open it." So I open it, and I read 49ers complete blockbuster deal for Christian McCaffrey. And I better get my button ready here because, yeah, you know it's coming. You know it's coming.
I know exactly what's coming because I cringed as soon as I saw that. I cringed so hard.
You and quite a few other people.
Because I looked at that, as soon as that trade hit, I was like, oh, God.
My wife looked at me, and I looked at her, and I said, "The Niners just got Christian McCaffrey." And my wife went, "Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
So
and then the next day, this one shoots me a message and says, "Thanks a lot."
See, that was in reply to yours. and you're like, "Thank you for giving us Christian." And I was like, "Yeah, thanks a lot." But I was like devastated.
Hardy.
I was devastated because all I could think of was all the times Matt Tool IR'd Christian for baloney reasons. Baloney. I rolled ankle, Brian. I rolled ankle. I rolled it. Yeah, it'll take me 4 days to recover from a rolled ankle.
From a rolled ankle, right? You're absolutely right.
An elite player whose body is meant.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody in the NFL, anybody in professional sports, their bodies are meant to overcome small pains. Like,
yes.
I mean, and Christian is known to be that guy that will go in, like, if he needs it during like the commercial breaks, like between the quarters or especially during halftime, jump in the ice bath, then get redressed because he needs it. I mean, he is a workhorse. His dad taught him well. And
Ed McCaffrey, gotta love
it. And you know, like when I was so mad. And what really burned my butt, and I think I told you this that night. Somebody I'm still friends with to this day, but is a Texans fan. Mm-hmm. And if you're watching this, sir, you know who I'm talking about. But he messaged me, and it was something kind of ugly. And I did not expect it from him because he is not an ugly person.
Right.
And I said, "Really? You think that's appropriate at this moment in time?" And he goes, "Well, you keep bringing up the Astros cheating." And I was like, "Because the Astros changed the game for MLB. And it's proven." Now, out of respect for my friend, I will not mention that to him anymore. But plus, it's kind of old news now, so, you know. But that just devastated me. And then when we give up Deontay Foreman. But back to Chicago. Where I get to see my man DJ. And tell your friends who are there if they want to give me press passes for the Chicago and the Panthers game. I'm all in because I'm still trying to get approved. But
I totally understand that. I totally get that.
But I like I think I said before last week, I think that was the one game last season when Bryce really lost his ish on the team.
Yes.
And deservedly so, because he had kept his cool, he'd kept his calm. But I mean, honestly, with everything those players had gone through last year, it was uglier than anybody thought. Yeah. Like, it's just a shame that Tepper treated Matt Toole so much better than he treated Frank Reich.
True. And because you can
Frank
see it.
Yeah. And Frank would have been great for like doing the rebuild, bidding people around. But it's also kind of come out Frank wasn't really on board with the Bryce train. So
yeah, there you go.
I don't know how true that is. I don't know how true that is, but I could see it.
I can totally see it. We're out of time. Jenn Lewis joining us here. She does every Thursday with all the Panthers inside stuff. There's a lot of laughter that goes with it, but if you want to see her, check out Chicks and Salsa every week, and you can check her out here on Snowman in the Morning every Thursday. Thank you, my dear, so very much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, B.
Wow. She's a riot.
Yup.
She is a riot, and I love it. I love it. Thank you to Jenn Lewis for joining me. Thank you, Wayne Larrabee, and thank you to Jordan and Earl Drake for joining me. We got to get out of here. Have a great day. God bless. Remember to make your next move your best move, and always remember, if your dreams don't scare you, they are simply not big enough. Dream big, do bigger. We are, and we hope y'all are too. Football Friday tomorrow. So long, everybody. We're loaded for a Football Friday. See you tomorrow.